Call Me, Beat Me.
Hello. Big song.
I mean, if you got a royalty for every time it played in my head, dun, 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 dun,
Hey.
you would literally be a trillionaire. Welcome to another episode of Richer Lives by SoFi. I'm Vivian Tu, aka your Rich BFF, and we're here today with Grammy-nominated musician, actor, and entrepreneur Christina Milian. Bonjour,
Hi.
Christina.
Oh, bonjour. You're speaking my language, honey. Thank you for having me.
So, as a full-time Parisian, what do you think is something that the French do better than Americans when it comes to money?
Oh, gosh. What a good question. Oh my gosh, you know what? I think it's the way they spend their money.
Tell me.
They know how to do a holiday. I'll tell you that.
Ooh.
You know, they have a really great way of doing a work-life balance, a lot of quality time, dinners, lunches, people talking, gathering together. The way they spend their money, I think it's well spent. It's on quality time.
So you grew up as Christina Flores.
I did.
To a Cuban-American immigrant family. Your parents kind of told you you could have whatever life you wanted as long as you worked very, very hard at it. Mm-hmm. You went through auditions as a child to become a star and actually ended up having to give it up for a minute because of financial constraints. Can you kind of talk me through that experience and like what you were thinking about at the time?
What I do today is what I've dreamt of since I was little. Like literally in my dreams, sleeping. I lived it, breathed it, like faked it. Like I was the kid that was like on the table that felt like my life was actually like the Truman Show. Someone somewhere is watching me and this is what I'm meant to do. The moments where my mom's like catching me trying to get into the television with a screwdriver and a knife.
Like you thought you could get in the TV.
Oh, I definitely did. And I grew up in the era of like, everything was huge. Everything was big and there was such a mystique to it. I wanted to live that. And so because of my big dreams, my parents were forced to have to get me a manager and, an agent, and they were my managers. And I did go to auditions. I lived in Maryland at the time, and my parents, they switched off doing long road trips, 4 hours, just to go to an audition in New York City to see if I was going to get it or not. For a good year of going back and forth, I didn't book anything. And it became an ultimatum where my parents were like, okay, Christine, we have to take a break from this because this is costing us a lot of money, a lot of time. And so, for about a year, I took time off from doing the audition thing.
But you got back into it?
I did. And like my first thing I went for, I got it. It was like a commercial for Wendy's. Yeah. And so it was good. It was all up from there. I mean, up in a very steady, slow pace. But I started doing that, musical theater, lots of commercials, which pay the bills. And also went into like my savings and stuff. And eventually started to pay off for everyone.
And you called your mom your ride or die.
She is.
When you guys were really starting to see your star ascend. How do you guys navigate the business, the money, the actual like career part of you becoming a star?
We have gone through so much. My mom always was like my trainer. She was my vocal coach. She was the person I stayed up late at night, like sing again, practice again, because we learned that the greats never stopped, you know? We had a dream and we just never stopped working towards that dream. We went through a lot of ups and downs where we came from the middle class to eventually my parents actually did end up getting a divorce. And we experienced extreme poverty, like to the point where we had nothing at all. What we did have is family and our values and being so grateful for every little thing. Because when you have nothing, you realize any little thing is something. When you don't have toilet paper, when you have nothing in the cabinet, no food to eat, have an eviction notice on your door, and, you know, you're just figuring it out. My mom, worked her A off. Her ASS. She worked her butt off. She worked her butt off when we had gotten to the point we had nothing. Our foundation and our groundwork, that's the bond that my mom and I had because we had to raise this household together. And then also sacrificing all the fun to really say, hey, we have a dream and we have to make this happen. When we said, okay, music is it. Let's focus on music. It was like hustle mode, just like clicked in. How are we going to do that? Let's focus on that and let's pivot into that. You know, acting's going great, but music is where it's at right now. And this is what you want to do? Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
So my mom's been my ride or die. We went through a lot to get there. We're so close and we will always be this close because we've done this together.
Christina, it sounds like you had like this undeniable drive and hustle. Like, have you always had that? Like, where did that start?
Oh, definitely. Let's just put it this way. I was the kid that was like, I want to make money. I want to save money. My dad taught me about saving, taught me about investing like early on. He was teaching me life's lessons really early just so it would become like just be in my blood. But I was definitely the kid that took my Halloween candy. Like I would go around the neighborhood twice, have a big garbage bag full of candy. Of course, you go home, you go through it, you get all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But then after that, I would make little Ziploc bags of all the other candy, which was still good stuff. I showed up to school the next day and I had the bags of the candy and I would sell either by the piece or I would sell by the... I tried to sell them rocks with mud in it. I sell, I was all about a sale.
Girl, what were you spending it on?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. All I wanted to do was save it. I had a little tin can. It was in my drawer. And I just wanted to save this money just to say that I had that much money.
I'm obsessed with this story because I used to be the chapstick hustler at school.
Oh.
You could go and get like a 10-pack at like, some big box store.
Yes.
And then I would go in and I would sell each of the chapsticks for like $2.
Ooh, I like it.
And so I was
I like the way
cutting
you
the
think.
difference.
You and I could start a lemonade stand or something together.
Exactly. I want to pivot really quick to your last name.
Okay.
You actually changed your last name from Flores to Milian.
Yes.
Was that like a personal decision, a business decision?
No, it was absolutely a business decision. I am Afro-Latina. I'm Afro-Cuban, which is not really translated all the time, especially in the early phases of my career. You didn't see as many of our faces on TV, especially like a Black Latina, And so a lot of auditions I would go in for, I would try to go in as a Latina, but my skin color didn't really match the last name to what was appealing at that time. So I really couldn't go in for Latina roles. And then when they was going for an African-American role, they're like, Flores, she's Hispanic. She can't even come to this audition. So they didn't even give me a chance to go into the auditions. And so a friend of ours, she had changed her last name and it really worked out for her. She's like, you should change your last name. So we came up with all of these names. And then one day, I don't even know why we didn't think of it, but my mom's last name is Milian. Christina Milian. Christina Milian. Hey, that kind of works. Christina Milian. Yeah. Same picture, same headshot. Changed the last name to Milian, Christina Milian on my headshot. And do you know, overnight, like we sent it to the same casting directors, changed everything. I booked TV shows immediately. Just that one small little change, that pivot actually changed the trajectory of my whole career, but just by changing my last name.
Wow. I can't believe one little change on your resume at the time made such a difference.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's unfortunate. It's not something that I'm proud of that being the reason, But I'm happy we see more, Black Latina faces on television now. People aren't so hung up on little things like that, and they allow you to come in for your talents. If I was currently getting into the business now, I feel like I wouldn't have to change my last name for that to happen.
Well, we love to see positive growth, but we also love to see a hustler do what she needs to do.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
To make it work.
We didn't let it stop us.
That's right.
Yeah.
On that note, let's hit pause for a quick money lesson. As some of you may know, I've been in my fashion girly era lately. And let me tell you, hunting down the perfect bag, weirdly similar to finding a loan as a small business owner. In both cases, finding exactly what you need can feel impossible. I'll go down a rabbit hole, open a million tabs, and suddenly I'm looking at a bunch of nearly identical bags, but one has a zipper, one has an extra strap, one has pockets, and soon enough, they all blur together, and I can't even find which one I liked the most. Where is it? Shopping for the right financing for your small business shouldn't feel like that. Enter SoFi's marketplace. Whether you need a loan for working capital or funds to upgrade your equipment, SoFi helps you shop and compare financing options without drowning in tabs. It's like a one-stop shop for finding financing that fits your business needs. Oh, and no need to stress. We'll help you track down what you're looking for. With loans funded for more than 1,000 small businesses, SoFi's marketplace is here to help you explore financing options. Get started at sofi.com/SMB. I want to talk a little bit now about your music career. Growing up, I actually knew of you through a very, very popular theme song, Kim Possible.
Yes.
You actually recorded the opening track. How much were you paid to do that? Do you get royalties from that?
Gosh, girl. Okay, so the theme song, I sang the theme song for, Kim Possible's
Call Me, Beat Me.
Hello. Big song. My biggest regret is, they offered me to work on writing on the song.
Yeah.
But the song was written already. And so there was nothing for me to really rewrite at all. It was very well written. And my mom was always like, you should at least write a couple words on it. And I didn't. All I did was sing it. And I got paid a flat fee. And I can't remember what that flat fee was, but I think it was like 20 grand or something like that. Yeah. And that was it. And then the song became number one. It still is like, people love that song to this day. It was a cool experience though, because what I did get out of it is the memories and the people loving it. And it's one of those things like, if I go perform somewhere, if I want to add it in the mix, I know I got a hyped up crowd to sing Call Me, Beat Me.
I mean, if you got a royalty for every time it played in my head, dun, 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 you would literally be a trillionaire.
Oh my gosh. I wish. I should have just written like a couple words.
Just a couple words. Oh, man. Well, you know what? Mom is always right. That's what we've learned.
Listen to mom.
So you initially signed a $125,000 contract with Def Jam.
Yeah.
And 125 G's sounds like a lot of money, but that has to be stretched over years of studio time, living costs, rent.
Yeah.
How did you budget that money? And did it feel like so much or did it go quick?
Oh, no. That money lasted a long time. Let's just put it that way. Literally, my mom and I pushed our station wagon to go to sign my record deal. It broke down on the way to go sign my deal. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, because we were living with nothing, like that was easy. We were still easily living the way that we were. And we're so afraid to touch that money because we knew that we had to budget that for a long time. When you get a record deal, you have a budget to make an album. Luckily, I took a music as a business class to learn that. My mom read books as well to learn what happens with a budget when you get a record deal. That goes towards recording your album. That goes towards living. It's like an investment that you're gonna have to pay back. So we were like, okay, that's great. We've got this money. We're gonna have to live off of it. I was very frugal and careful about how my money was spent. I'll tell you this, we were still driving that station wagon till the wheels fell off. I'll tell you, $125,000 check. I think it lasts us at least a good 2 to 3 years until I started making more money on movies and things like that.
When we see a lot of, celebrities, entrepreneurs kind of rise to success, they always love to bring their ride or dies with them. Did you ever buy your mom anything with that money?
Oh. So my money has always been our money, and that's just how I am. Of course, as time has proceeded, my mom also has her career as a manager. She has her own money that she makes. But I always felt because everyone sacrificed so much, I always was, making sure we were all taken care of. My first thing I would say technically that I bought my mom was our family house. That was like my dream. After going through so much, I remember I had a talk with my mom one day after we went to a food line to go get food. We were on our way home and we had bags of food and
like a food
I was
bank.
crying. Yeah, we went to a food bank and I was crying because I saw the people we were in line with. There were people with no shoes, they had absolutely nothing and we didn't either. It just felt like things had gotten so low, And on my way home, I remember walking, I don't want to cry.
Oh.
I remember walking home with my mom. And telling her, I said, Mom, I don't want to live like this. What do we have to do? What do we have to do to get out of this? She was doing temp jobs. I was taking care of my sisters. Everything was still really happy. But I said, this isn't it. And my mom said, okay, well, Christine, we have to sacrifice. It's time. We have to sacrifice. We're going to have to sacrifice hanging out with your friends, doing this, doing that. And now we have to focus. I was ready. And so we went home, we said a prayer, and God answered our prayer overnight. And because of that, I said I would always take care of everyone. And so my first big purchase and my first thing that means something to me that I feel like I gave my mom and I gave my sisters too, because they deserved that, was our house.
Can I give you a hug?
Yeah, you can give me a hug.
You got me crying over here.
You know what these tears are? These tears are such happy tears. I'm so grateful. We sacrificed so much, and I'm so grateful to be here. Anyways, so it was the house. That was the first big purchase for my mom and for us, the house. And I did that when I was 20 years old. So we went from nothing to almost living in a shelter to the $125,000 that we're very carefully spending to getting a movie, which was Love Don't Cost a Thing, and Torque. I got 2 movies at the same time. I got 2 movies out of nowhere. Like I could barely get a role with a name, and then all of a sudden I got 2 lead roles. And so yes, the house was my first big investment. I still have that house.
That house is more than just a house.
It's more than a house.
It was safety. It was your security. It was that protection that you always wanted to give to your mom, that she wanted to give to you, but you made it happen.
We made it happen. This is my dream, but we made it happen together. It's our dream.
I mean, I genuinely can't think of a better use of money.
We had ownership to something.
It was yours.
Yeah, it was mine. It felt like we finally were making it.
Yeah. Ultimately, you parted ways with Def Jam.
Yes.
And actually started writing songs for some other artists, small ones that people have probably never heard of, like Justin Bieber.
Yeah, Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about the finances between being the artist yourself versus being a songwriter.
Ooh, okay. So back then you weren't really like doing club gigs. You couldn't be like influencer. That was an option.
Not a thing.
You know, you weren't making outside branding deals came very few. You're just living off per diem and hoping that the sales on your album would, give back to you. But I did learn that songwriting was the place to be if you want to make any money. So as an artist, I was budgeting for dancers, clothing, styling, all that stuff. Because I was so aware of what a budget was, I mean, I would be on the plane. I was flying economy the whole time. Girl, I was right back there in the economy
32B.
section, just like my mom, we had it down. We had our neck pillow. She was my shoulder to lay on. But I was very careful with my money through the budget of the record label. And believe me, they offer you to let's go shopping, let's get a massage, let's go to dinners. But come to find out, that's all going on your budget. It's really cute at first, but you're like, oh no, they're swiping that and that's going straight to your budget.
Oh, so you're telling me that actually comes out of your paycheck, not theirs.
For sure. It is coming out of your paycheck at the end of the day. I don't even know if I actually ever saw a dime from that ever in the end anyways, but you make money off of things like touring, performing on, at club gigs, things like that. But really it was writing. Once you get into publishing, it's something that's consistent along the rest of your life. If you can get that down, you could take care of yourself and your kids. It has been very good to me because all of a sudden, things did crumble with Island Def Jam. I did have moments where we were almost back to where we started.
Yeah.
And so thankfully, my songwriting is what helped keep me afloat.
When you were worried about potentially being back where you started financially, how did that affect your mindset, your attitude, your emotions?
I wasn't as affected as most would be because I'd been there before.
Yeah.
I was ready for the roller coaster ride. Now, thankfully, I had business managers and accountants that were really wise with how we handled it. I did have to refinance, my home, there was a recession that happened.
Yeah.
There was a writer's strike. There were things that I was not prepared for that they helped prepare me or help me stay afloat. And then I was booking movies.
Right.
I really started to lean more into my film career because that was steady for me. I focused more of my energy on film, songwriting, and luckily my business managers, helped me make some good decisions that would keep me going and keep me in the game. Keep me from going all the way back down to square one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the transition of you kind of started your career in the acting space, went into music, and then kind of boomeranged back around to acting and producing, why that kind of roundabout journey?
Diving into my music career, it was just the right time. I think it was I was 16, 17. They were looking for Disney artists to become these huge pop stars. So it was Britney Spears and you have NSYNC, you have all these huge pop stars coming from the Disney era. And I was a Disney girl too. So I got really lucky. And so I had to focus my energies on music, but I always said I was going to come back to acting. So music was great, fantastic, traveled the world. It gave me a name globally and a fan base that carries on to now.
Yeah.
And when everything happened with Def Jam, I was so lucky to be able to fall back on my acting, Bring It On, my Christmas movies. I've been fortunate to have a consistent acting career, and I love the professionality of being an actress. You show up to work on time, you get the role, you hustle for it, you do a great job, then it all works out.
I want to pivot a little bit. and talk about your executive producing career. I mean, girl, what aren't you doing? You produced the film Meet Me Next Christmas.
Yes.
And you were actually the lead character.
Yeah.
This was your third collab with Netflix. Like, how did that relationship come about?
One day I got a call about falling in love. And I'm really good at doing romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Somehow, those always just work really well for me, and I'm very finicky about which ones that I do. So I don't just do them all, but I fell in love with that script. It was all about casting, about chemistry, and that's why all three of those movies have been so successful for Netflix is because the chemistry
The
and
vibes.
me knowing what works for me for my audience. I know what my audience wants to see, and I like every movie that I do to be, even if it's the same world, I want it to be different. I don't want to tell the same story. It's not cookie cutter stuff. It's fun. I want to make people laugh and fall in love and giggle. And I want to give them all the juicy stuff that they want from a romantic comedy. So we've been able to do that successfully. And Meet Me Next Christmas was a great one, especially it had music with the Pentatonics. And they were fantastic. And Deval was amazing. Deval was just like so much fun. Amazing chemistry with them all. And of course, being able to produce. At this point now, I'm like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy to finally get to the point where I'm producing.
Yeah.
Like, that's this is my dream. Like, you see it all kind of like fold out. I really dream of producing films, not only that I'm in, but also that for other people. And for other people, like I said, Black Latinas, or just like, I just want to see a little bit of everything and everybody in other films. And I don't always have to be the star of that. So this is my first step to getting to that.
Let's take a quick break for a hot money tip, and we'll be right back with more from Christina. All-in-one products. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're a girl's worst nightmare. AKA my husband's 5-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, face wash, body wash, 24-hour deodorizer. It might even be window cleaner. Ooh. Here's an all-in-one idea that just makes sense. An all-in-one finance app. Because I know all your phones have a little folder on there with a whole mess of financial apps you've downloaded, and you're not opening all of those on a regular basis. That's better. SoFi makes it easy to do all of your banking, borrowing, tracking of your finances, and more all in one place. So you know exactly what's going on with your money all the time. Go to SoFi.com/richerlives to open an account and start getting your money right today. Yeah, like today, like right now. Go ahead, hit pause. We'll still be here. All right, Christina, I want to actually talk about your entrepreneurship journey, Beignet Box.
Yes.
Started as a food truck. At what point did you think that this could actually become a business, though?
Ooh, well, there were a couple like hit and miss entrepreneurial things that I did before that. And one thing I believe in as an entrepreneur is following your passions and what you love. You got to believe it. You're selling it to people.
And you love beignets.
And I'm a foodie. I am a foodie. I love food. I should open a pizza place, a sandwich place, a sushi place. I could keep on. The list can go on. And my best friend and I, we used to be roommates. And she just saw my hustle and I saw her grind. And we said, someday we're going to do a business together. She had a foundation where she would rebuild houses in Louisiana. And we would go over there and we would rebuild these homes. We would, raise money and she would do the gala. But of course, in Louisiana, you're going to go and you want to eat the food. You're going to taste everything. You have the gumbo, you have the po' boys, you have all that. But I tasted a beignet. Woo! And I was sprung. I was sprung off the beignet. And then she and I, we looked at each other and we're like, that's it. That's it. We're going to do beignets in LA. And so for about a year, she started to work on our business plan. We would go to investors to try to pitch it. And as two women, especially I think as two beautiful women in their early 30s, it's kind of difficult to actually get anyone to take you serious.
Yeah.
So we went to a lot of different people. And unfortunately, it didn't work out.
So how'd you fund it?
We found an investor in one of our friends.
Amazing.
And she and her husband was a Saints player. She knows what the beignet is.
Yeah.
And she was looking to invest money. She's a nurse. And she's like, I want to be an investor too. I want to be taken serious too. My husband, people come to my husband all the time. Why not me? And so she was our first investor. And we started off with, I think, maybe 50 grand.
Yeah.
I think she invested 50 grand and 50 or 60 grand is what got us started.
Amazing.
Yeah. So we started off with the truck and within that first month, made that money back for sure. But it was just always just flipped right back into the business. So we started with the truck. Then eventually we got a brick and mortar in Studio City, got a second truck. And now we've moved around. We've had pop-ups everywhere. And we have another location, a kiosk. It's taken a lot to figure out what works best for us, what our footprint is, how many employees, a lot of things you're learning with budgets, all that stuff.
Yep.
And kiosks is our thing. So
I think it's so cool that turned something that you were so passionate about into a business win. And thank you, by the way, for being so vulnerable and saying that it came from some bad business moves.
yeah, I learned a lot. I've had a wine company.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about Viva Diva Wines.
Yes, I had Viva Diva Wines. So one thing I have learned from being an entrepreneur, I'll tell you this, don't do anything without a contract.
Talk to me about how you learned that lesson.
I learned that because sometimes you'll go in and maybe with a broker to a big company and they say, hey, I want a huge order and we're going to put this in all our grocery stores, but I want it now. So next thing you know, you're calling your manufacturer and you're like, hey, I need this now. I need 100,000 bottles of wine made immediately. And you think everything's going, but the contract's not done yet. And next thing you know, that person gets fired. You're stuck with about
100,000 bottles of wine.
100,000 bottles of wine. And so you're stuck with it. And then you have to find somebody else to take it. And housing it, that's very expensive. It actually cost me more to house the product.
Right.
And so I had to bail out of that. It took me a couple years and it cost me a couple $100,000. I had to pay a company to break the bottles as well and to stop that business because it was just costing me a fortune.
Yeah.
So yes, I've had to learn some healthy lessons, but my biggest lesson I've learned is do not make that big order until you have that on contract, until they've signed the deal.
Till the ink is dried.
Till the ink is dry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, now I want to take a little turn. Let's talk about your personal life. You are a mother now.
I am.
Talk to me a little bit about how you're teaching your kids to budget, to save, to invest, and to just be better than you.
I'm trying. It's a work in progress because I have a 15-year-old daughter that I'm like, girl, I want her to know where she comes from. So I tell her the stories. I tell her what her grandparents,
no rich
did.
kid attitude.
None of that. With my kids, I have my little one. He's very much like me already. He loves money. He's like, goes in my purse. He's in my drawers. He's got all the coins that you can think of. He's got a collection of rocks, a collection of shells. I'm like, oh, that's my kid.
Yeah.
He is going to be very much like me. That's my kid. I don't know what he's going to want to sell, but I'm going to help him sell it.
Yeah.
And then my middle son, he's, I think, we'll see how he's going to be, but he's like his dad. So I don't know. His dad's very good with money. So
yeah,
he's going to be very wise. But if they want to go be actors at 11 years old and do what I did, I'm like, let's go.
So you're supportive of them getting into the business?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Because I know how to do it. And I think I never got in any trouble. I was very careful about my reputation and ruining anything. And I just wanted longevity. The ride could be steady, it could be long, but you're going to get there. So whatever they dream in, whatever passion they have, I'm going to follow that. Yeah.
Okay. I have the final question.
Okay.
What is the single best piece of advice you've gotten throughout your entire lifetime when it comes to saving money?
I think one of the best pieces of advice goes back to, I think my dad, spend wisely, make sure you save. I think that's probably one of the best pieces of advice anybody can do. I feel like investing money is more like people are talking about it more, share that more. We can all be a part of that.
We're talking about it.
I know, it's cool. Like, I didn't think that opportunity would come when I was 7 years old and my father was telling me about Wall Street, you know? That sounded huge. That sounded like men in suits and that we can never even get to that. But now it's tangible. It's something we can all reach. We can all become part of this. Anyone can go and download an app now and start investing even with minimal money. So yeah, I think it just goes back to my dad saying, like, this is what the stock market is. You're going to need to invest.
Yeah.
This is what you should do with your money. And now I still have those conversations with my dad now about investing. And it's exciting because now I actually get it.
Yeah. Shout out, Dad.
Yeah. Shout out my father.
Christina, tell us what you're doing next. How can we support you?
Oh, thank you. I think right now I'm pretty focused on, I'm actually writing scripts right now. Gonna hopefully come up with my next Christmas movie.
Love.
But also just focus on Beignet Box. That's my love. That's my passion. I'm grounded in that. Hopefully we can bring beignets and coffee to every home. around the globe.
I love it. Let's go get a sweet treat after this.
Yeah, I'm down with that. Just beignets.
Yeah.
Beignet box.
Thanks for watching this episode of Richer Lives. Drop your favorite moment from today's conversation with Christina in the comments. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can be the first to see new episodes. That's it. I'll see you next time.
Hey, Mark.
Whenever you need me, baby, call me, beat me, Richer Lives. Hey!